Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another brand new video. Today we're talking about authenticity, how to be honest with yourself, truthful with your desires. This is a theme that's been playing out in my life. I want to be more honest and real, especially get my desires expressed and out into the world. There's also something that I've noticed that you think that you have desires. Well, you do have desires, but so many desires that you have are repressed. Why are they repressed? Well, because the society doesn't like you to have desires, I guess, or maybe the desires impede onto others and you've learned to kind of suppress your desires and hide them deep down because not safe to express them. I wonder what would happen if every single human individual just started acting and doing whatever that they liked, with a small caveat that it doesn't impede in any way on other human beings, meaning unlawful action or unethical action. That's, of course, very needed. But just if you like somebody, you say, hey, I like you, or you don't like somebody, hey, I don't like you, or you like this job, you go take that job, or you don't like this job, you don't take that job, or you quit. And just being totally free and honest and authentic with your desires, that would make life a lot easier, a lot more comfortable for everybody to live on this planet. And that's what I hope for myself. The reason why we don't express our desires in the way that I just said is because we are afraid of losing our survival. Our survival chances, survival value goes down when we become socially unpopular. What does this mean? Well, if I told my coworker or my employer exactly how I felt about him or genuinely expressed my own feelings and desires and thoughts, there's a chance I would get fired. So it's not for good reason that we don't have blatantly express our desires, although that's the most spiritual way to live. So with that being said, I'll pass it on to chronological order. We'll go top right. Matthew, welcome to the show. How are you feeling? What do you have to share with us?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. First thing I would like to add, you mentioned like um, the reason, one reason why we might not be so authentic about certain desires or how we're feeling about things is, how it can affect our survival uh, or safety. Like you don't want to. If you see like a really big, angry, drunk man, you maybe don't want to tell him what you're really honestly thinking, or he might hurt you, something like this. But another like thing, it can also be like on an emotional level. Um, like, why don't you tell this girl that you like her? Is this going to affect your survival? No, no. But it can hurt. You can be rejected, and it can leave you emotionally hurt as well. So it's not only physical or survival level. Just to like add that caveat.
Yes,
That's the
pain.
first thought that comes to mind. But just pain, yeah, pain on any level, right?
Good
But
point.
I wanted to emphasize it can also be a mental thing, emotional. Like you might not actually be in any danger whatsoever, but you just don't want to feel uncomfortable, so you swallow it in a way.
Yes, correct. Krish, what do you have to say about this?
Mm, I think people have very limited identifications. And in India, it's always like this that being a child has to first not be limited, but he has to say, I'm identified with the whole cosmos. And only then he goes through education. So I think limited identifications and fear and pain are like the most um, obvious barriers for people to not be like truly authentic. Yeah.
Yes, good point. And moving on list, Josh.
Yeah, so desire. I found it useful to, there's this phrase, and they call it the clarification of desire. Because desire can be clarified. It's kind of like root cause analysis. You say you want this car. Well, why do you want the car? You know? and you follow that questioning path, and it's, well, I'll have the car and I'll feel this way, or I might. Anyway, this is what happened in my own head. I was like, I want this thing in my life, and it came down to, like, I thought if I had this thing, I would hold myself differently, is what it was for me. I would stand taller. I would be more confident. So I realized that it wasn't the thing I wanted here. It was something a little deeper that I thought this thing would give me, and that's helpful. And then, yeah, the identification thing is useful, and an idea that I've been playing with when Krish, it's Krish, right?
Yep.
Mentioned identifying with the cosmos. So when it comes to desire, there is this saying that I've heard that I agree with. The fulfillment of the individual is the fulfillment of the whole, which is true if the identity is there, if the shared identity with the whole of cosmos is there. Desire will naturally arise in a way where your fulfillment is fulfilling for the whole as well. And so these are some ideas that are in my head, and yeah.
Interesting. Your desires have to fulfill the larger desire that nature holds for you, or life or the universe holds for you. Interesting. And Mr. Triple W, if you're just listening in, that's okay. If you have any thoughts to share, I'll give you this opportunity now. Very wise. A man of few words. Let's move on. Yes, very important. So some things I want to add on to this, and we'll continue on as in chronological order. First thing was said is that why do you want these things? You want things in your life. Well, if you just start to get the feeling inside your body, then maybe you don't want them, or you'll end up not wanting them. And that's a very valid point, that you only want things because of the feelings that they give you. But if you give yourself the feelings that unnaturally that thing would give you, then maybe you wouldn't want that desire or have that desire in the first place. This is an idea or a concept I haven't really figured out what to do with. I've heard it many times and it makes sense, but it doesn't do much for me. Okay, I'm going to think about, I have $1 million, ooh, and I get the feeling inside of me, but I don't have $1 million and I don't have access to the resources that $1 million provides. So what I would suggest, my advice here is to go after literally all of your desires. Unless you're a psychopath and it impedes on other human beings' lives or other living beings' lives, of course, that needs to be said. So Hitler shouldn't go towards his desires because it leads to other beings dying. We should have some sense to discriminate against that. But if your desires are selfish desires, absolutely you must and you should go for them. And if your desires go expand to a larger your community, then absolutely you must go towards them. And the desires are built into the human body because it's a natural process. And usually when you fulfill your desires, especially when it's larger desires, it helps lots of people. So desires don't just spring up. Nature gives them to you, or sometimes the person that had the invention, that had the desire to build a toilet, I'm very glad that he did. And billions of people are very happy that he did because he solved a lot of problems. So in a way that it was all of our desires to have something like this done, but it went to him, went to that man that built the toilet.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to continue and expand a bit on what Josh was saying of the finding the root cause of the desires, because I don't think it's just quite so straightforward, actually, that follow all your desires and you'll be fulfilled. Because we have actually also ingrained in us from layers and generations of societal conditioning many interlocking and interwebbed belief systems. So, and these influence the way that our mind works and the way that it's interpreting the feelings in the body. And beliefs, maybe like you don't actually know what the experience of having $1 million would be like, or $100 million or whatever. So, depending what you believe about that, will actually be the much larger impact and influence on whether fulfilling that desire actually fulfills you or not. Because, like, say that you just have a belief that when you're a millionaire, then you'll be happy, right? And then you work, you do the whole process, you actually get to be a millionaire. And then at the end, you realize, oh shit, like, I'm not happy. I fulfilled the desire did not fulfill me. So I think this is kind of the important thing to get at also when it comes to that topic, is like what's going on in the belief system. Because if the belief system is wonky, like, you're just chasing your tail at that point. You're wasting your time, you're wasting your energy, and that's not good.
So I watched a series on Sadhguru exclusive today, which is called Desiring the Ultimate. And I think limited desires are never going to fulfill you. And if you have the ultimate desire, if you got the ultimate desire burning, then you cannot hurt anybody. That's what I heard Sadhguru saying today. He said, use anybody, like use the people. And that's, it sounds negative if he says, yeah, use the people around you, use your wife, use your husband, use your chef, use the people you like and don't like. But if you use them with the ultimate desire, you are not going to hurt them, but you are going to be very beneficial and accelerate their growth. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, we were talking about authenticity and desire. And there was just a phrase that Lionheart said that stood out, and it was wasting time. And my immediate thought was, if you're being authentic and you're living authentically, you're not wasting time, because it's like your life, you know? And with desires, the whole $1 million analogy. This is why I think self-reflection and contemplation is good, and trying to clarify your desires, because you could see if you're trying to get the $1 million because you just want to feel good, you know, and you sometimes I do believe it's possible through meditation and contemplation to see, am I desiring the $1 million because that's actually my authentic desire? Or is it something else? Because it's true that maybe the $1 million is exactly what you want and what you should pursue, because you want to have a certain impact and you want to do certain things. But ask yourself that. There's no right answer, wrong answer. Generally, it's personal. And I think that's what I think. Yeah, it's definitely a personal thing.
Hello.
Understood. Welcome.
Thank you.
Do you have anything to add to this?
I would say that, I'm sorry for my English and Danish, and it's not, yeah. I would say that a desire should be something that's in front of you. You know, everything that's in front of you, and you know it's is healthy for you could be desired, and that's no problem. The problem is when people desire things they don't either know or believe or anything like that is unhealthy for them. So yes, no.
Very good point. You have to have the distinction between desire that helps you in your life and desire that destroys you. Cigarettes destroy people, but I'm sure lots of people have the desire to smoke. Healthy food is also very nutritious and healthy, but not many people desire to eat that. So lots of intelligence and wisdom needs to be gained as to what
Yes,
desires to pursue and what to go towards. Very important.
yes, and that's why we need to learn.
I guess the natural clarification should be what is considered a desire or what is considered a craving, and that's a very deep topic. But to use up my time here, for my turn, I want to tell you a story. Add a story here. Recently, I was watching this YouTuber. Couldn't remember the name, but he randomly spawned on my subscription list or my newsfeed, and he plays Call of Duty, Call of Duty Zombies. So I recently played some Call of Duty on my channel. And the new Call of Duty game that came out, it allows you to go towards a 999th level in zombies, which a horde of zombies attacking you and you kill them, and the waves get harder and harder, and more zombies progress every single round. So 999 was supposedly the highest round that he can go to, and nobody has ever crossed that line. And so I was watching this man play this stream and shoot these zombies for hours, meaning I didn't watch him for hours, but he live streamed multiple days, maybe 10, 15, 20 days, something like this. And every single stream lasted 7 hours plus. So he was grinding this very hard. Well, he got compensated naturally, but the point is, yesterday and today, he finally reached his goal of 999. And I was on the stream while this was happening, and people are going crazy, and this was such a exciting thing. And I'm watching him just from a different eye level, and I'm looking at him. And finally, when he reached 999th level, I could just see it in him. His mental concept of him creating this desire was fulfilled, but nothing deeper remained. It was like totally unsatisfactory. And it made me realize so badly in my own life that this is what we do. This is what we do as human beings, thinking that I'm going to go get this job and I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. These concepts we're building, oh, this is going to make me happy. Once it's achieved, it's nothing. The deepest desire that you have, like Krish said, desiring the ultimate, that is the only thing that's going to make you satisfied because it's empty. So only emptiness can satisfy you. Something that's tangible never satisfies you because you just consume it and it goes away. So I thought that was so funny how this man transformed. I saw his shift in his mind. Just that moment, he realized I got it and the achievement was made. And now what? You have to continue the rest of your life. Not really any changes made. So yeah, Matthew, you look like you have something to share.
Yeah, that just reminds me of chemically, that's just the dopamine cycle, like that's built into us, like that we're biologically designed this way. It's our animal part of us, the survival mechanism that we have. The goals, you set goal, you achieve the goal, you get the dopamine, you feel good for a moment, but then like what? You just have the next goal. That's all you can do. But yeah, so that's just all that is, and that can lead also down like to addiction, like the dopamine cycles, right? Just chasing dopamine, you just get addicted to things. But yeah, no, I think that is kind of like what if we want to talk about, keep focusing on the topic of desire, like that is kind of the deeper thing that all humans are desiring. It's like a connection back to the divine, right? Because we feel ourselves to be in separation. The objective reality of the situation, we're not in separation. Like we are constantly in unity, but we have a way in our psychology that we can create the experience of being separated. And this is, I suppose, like the game that divine, that consciousness is playing out through us. It's like a hide and seek, like of you You forget that you're in unity with everything so that you can go through the whole process and the suffering and the separation and the loneliness so that you can eventually seek and find that again.
Yes, well said.
Hopefully while you're still in your body, right?
That's exactly right. Krish, any thoughts to add?
I just thought, I think we should contemplate what is the quality of the desire. Because in like ancient Sanskrit texts, they always talk about tamas, rajas, and sattva. And so these are three different qualities, like a lower quality, a middle quality, and like a higher divine quality. And at the end we can't even gain or lose anything, is what Sadhguru always says, because we just die. I got like this poem book by Sadhguru, and there he got like a poem where he says, don't be too proud of things, because at the end all you get is a stone. So we can only gain, basically, and we should always have in mind that we die, because a lot of people just act without knowing that there's death at any moment, every moment.
Yes, correct. Josh, anything to add to that?
I just agree. Yeah, hold in the context as best you can. See if you can grasp the reality of the impermanent nature of this. And knowing that you're going to die, that will shift your perspective. That will make your desires more true. People on their deathbed, one of the things it's been shown, there's been studies, like one of the things they say most often, I don't know if I'm getting this totally right, but it's that they wish they just would have kind of gone for it. They wish they wouldn't have cared as much what other people thought, and they would have just kind of been authentic. That's one of the wishes most commonly expressed with people on their deathbed. And when you begin to think, well, I'm going there, I'm going back to the ground sooner or later, what is there to do? Well, I'm here, and I'm unique. A unique configuration, arrangement of particles that you aren't me, I'm not you. Yes, we're one on some level, and we're different. It's paradoxical because Lionheart brought up the unity point. And yes, there's truth to that. There's also truth in the differences and the separation. And it's the ability to hold both of those truths at the same time that really gets things just in balance, Because there is oneness and there is continuity and discontinuity. Anyway, that's a rant. Here we go.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask a question. Is it okay? Or
We'll let the gentleman speak that's just joined us, and then we'll let you ask the question afterwards. Do you have anything to share, Mr. W?
I'll just say that the thing about a dance, a desire for a dance, that doesn't need a goal. You just desire for enjoying it. So that's just a goal.
Okay. And yes, ask away whatever questions you have.
yeah, I've been following your channel for a while now. I don't know how it got on my feed on YouTube. And I have this big gap in my knowledge of Hinduism. But I wanted to ask if you did Vipassana, and lately I've been doing Vipassana a lot. It's been about a year. I was introduced to it through Sam Harris, if you know who that is. He's an American philosopher, an atheist as well. And there was this weird feeling that I've lately been encountering where I try to meet like-minded people, like in person. I'm like, oh hey, let's talk about the Dharma, let's share meditation experiences. And if you're aware, in Buddhism, especially in Theravada Buddhism, if you do Vipassana meditation, there are like a bunch of steps that that you're going to go through until you're like liberated. And about 11 months ago, I was on the arising and passing away, if you know what that stage is. And that's when it started, where I started to meet various types of people, and they would share these experiences of what it feels like with me. And then I'd hear it and I'm like, that's not what it does. And clearly there's a failure to grasp what Vipassana is, period. And even today, I was at this place where people were telling me that they were doing mindfulness, that they did retreats and such, but their experience and my experience is truly incompatible. And I mean, from my experience, this earth-shattering, unimaginably liberating, truly, just truly, I would say, divine experience. That's I'm actually tarnishing the experience itself by putting names to it. But when other people talk about it, it's more or less like this thing that they do sometimes when they're pissed off or something. And am I experiencing something else, or is Vipassana exactly what I'm experiencing, and are other people just completely doing another thing? If you're familiar with Vipassana, I mean. I know that you come from a very Hindu background, but I just wanted to know your thoughts on that. Yeah.
Actually, my first introduction to spirituality was the Vipassana 10-day Goenka retreat. And after I couldn't get enough of this, so I traveled all over the world, visited Theravada Buddhist monasteries, and lived with Theravada monks, Buddhist monks, for quite a significant length of time. So I'm very familiar with this. Yes, it sounds like you've spiritually progressed in your path, seriously progressed, and more work is needed in terms of destruction, self-destruction. Self-destruction and meaning your concepts, your illusions, your personality, everything that's inside of you. Most importantly, your energy. So you need to, I'm glad you're on my channel. You've come to the right place. You need to invite this energy into your life, the energy of destruction. You don't want the good things to be destroyed, like your house needs to be properly. Uh,
Yeah.
but so yes, invite Shiva's energy into you, and you'll know how this feels, and everything will make sense.
Yeah. My issue, more or less, with it is that every day that goes by, I have a very Buddhist, atheistic outlook to life, which makes a lot of sense to me. I I understand more than ever now. Maybe I don't know. You felt this in the past. I don't know, but the Buddha truly did know, like, why the world is and what's important and what isn't. I don't need a god or a creator to tell me what's right and wrong. Doing wrong will cause the wrong things to occur, and people like me and other people are going to experience pain. There's a Christian idea of like this sins of our fathers and such. That is really real. That is truly poignant, and it's like this. It's like there doesn't need to be a god for you to actually discover and decide to do the right thing. Every day that goes by, I have a very Buddhist atheistic outlook to everything, and I'm realizing the importance of always committing to the right path and doing the right thing. But it kind of gets lonely, to be honest. I do genuinely believe that I'm almost done with my Buddhist steps, but I don't know. Especially when you're living in Africa, it's like, oh fuck, there's not a lot of people out there that have a dharmic opinion as to how things go, and it would have been nice to share it, but I just wanted to know your thoughts on mindfulness, especially Vipassana specifically. Like, is it something that you've felt as though is the most mind-bending thing that you could have ever done, even including drugs, including shrooms, acid, everything, even in combination? This experience is just top tier.
Yes, Vipassana is definitely a fantastic, fantastic tool. Is it the end all be all? No. I thought this was for a long time. I was convinced that the Buddha was the sage and the master, and he is an extremely wise human being. worth following. And yes, you are concluding your spiritual path, your Buddhist path. You mentioned in the beginning of this this while you were talking, you said that you have a very Buddhist and atheist outlook on life. That's good. It's better to have that outlook than a theistic, dogmatic outlook, but it's not the best. What is the best is to not have an outlook at all. So drop your outlooks, drop everything, drop even the Buddha. Something else will come.
Yeah, that's you're talking about the no self, no nothing, nothingness thing. Yeah, it's. Have you ever? Do you have any experience with this ancient Hawaiian practice that was a bit of a fad in early 2000s called Ho'oponopono? You ever heard about it before?
I've heard about it, I haven't practiced it much.
Yeah, there was a teacher, his name was Dr. Hulen. He used to say, when you're at zero, there are really no questions, there's no figuring out of anything, there's no God, you're just there, you're just zero, it's perfect, everything is aligned, everything is there. I think that's what you're referring to, and that is something that I've gotten with Vipassana. Every moment that passes where I'm not mindful is, I'm experiencing all the suffering and all the pain out there, and it's kind of like that. It's when I am in the zone, when I am in the moment, I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Would it lead to something else in the future? Definitely, but I highly doubt that it would be Hinduism, because to be honest, I think it's one of the most impossible things to ever understand. I got introduced to it through His Holiness Neem Curly Baba and Ram Dass, but it's just so difficult to ever grasp, or to even have any kind of, you can't wrap your head around it well. It- it's the most complex and the oldest, I think, right, of all religions.
Well, I want you to remind you, my friend, that Gautama Siddhartha, or the Buddha, is Hinduism.
Yeah, that's the weird. Another weird part is you can actually be a complete atheist and a Hindu at the same time. That's also, there's a name for it in there.
Hinduism, as far as Sadhguru's teaches, is that it is a geographical location, not a belief system or a dogmatic philosophy. It's the mountain ranges in the Himalayas in the north and the South Indian Ocean. So this land is called the Hindustan. And if you live in this land, you're a Hindu, and whatever the techniques and mm, living advices were created and cultivated there, that's known as Hindu. So the Buddha was born in this land, born in India. He was a Hindu by birth, naturally, and one of the most fantastic and evolved human beings to ever live, and we're thankful to have his teachings. And likewise, many sages and masters have come from this land, and in many ways, all of spirituality and all of the world's religions have in some ways been impacted and sourced from this place. So don't think, don't believe. Drop all your thinkings and beliefs and become nothing. We have a new guest here on the show. Welcome. Yes, please continue. Whatever you want to share.
Oh, I was gonna say that yeah, to be nothing, it is truly the purpose, but at the same time, there's this sense of not sharing, like my inability to share Vipassana with other people, or their conception of it not matching my own, is kind of a painful experience. But aside from that, there's a whole other question that I wanted to ask. I was reviewing a bunch of Buddhist scripture, and I wanted to know what, in the Buddhist sense, how were women understood? As in, I know that marriage wasn't common because it wasn't allowed. If you're a monk, if you're a bhikkhu, you couldn't really marry anybody. You're supposed to stay celibate. But what would you say is the spiritual outlook toward the like opposite sex? And let's say you wanted to be in a relationship of sorts, and I was never really a fan of these traditional masculine. I even hate those two words, to be honest, masculine, feminine, or whatever. But what is truly the way to go about that in a dharmic sense? if you've got any thoughts on that, to be honest, would want to know.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. The Buddha's outlook on women and relationships, I think he would prefer people not to have relationships. I think he would prefer that the entire planet would become monks. That's just his desire. He wanted to totally release people from their suffering. And if you have a family, if you have children, well, then you're bringing in more souls into the planet, and well, whatever. That goes without saying. He also, it's worth mentioning that the Buddha, I think his sister came to him and said, "I want to become a monk," and he said, "No, please don't." And then for the second time, she asked, "Please, let's ordain women as monks," and he said, "No, I can't do that. Just stop asking, please." And the third time she came and asked, "Come on, we have to do this. I already shaved my head, and the women that are following me, they also shaved their head. You need to do this." And whenever you ask the Buddha something 3 times, he would reluctantly agree to whatever was asked or whatever his questions were. So he finally agreed, and women became nuns. I think, reflecting back on this, I think the Buddha foresaw that if women became nuns, that then his teachings would survive much shorter amount of time. That's the closest analysis that I have towards that. And the nuns' order has vanished, meaning the last monk died without any new members joining in, so that the Buddha ordained the first lineage, and that lineage has died away. So only the male monks remain still. The Theravada tradition continues on. In terms of us answering a question about the dharmic relationship, well, you just work on yourself, be patient, and allow life to bring you a partner. That's the most sensible way I have seeing towards this. You probably don't want to go and force things or convince someone to like you or jump into a relationship out of your needs. This has to be something that's much bigger than you, and you just be patient and wait, and this will happen.
Yeah, that's it's complex in a modern world. I would say that Taoism truly does have the answer in terms of like evolving ideologies. Where in the Tao Te Ching, there's this idea of not being dogmatic at all, especially in Taoism. It's anti-dogma, like very much so, and to evolve with the times and to change with the times. And what there's this I think, of course I'm misquoting, and there's a lot of translations as well, but there's this passage that says what worked yesterday may not work tomorrow, and it's you that has to decide, like maybe I should act a different way, not the way my forefathers did in the past and such, and approach it a different. That's kind of how I'm trying to do that in my life, because we're living in a modern world. We have AI now, and things are much more pretty much the same, but at the same time really different. And yeah, I just wanted to know other people's opinions on this, and yeah, thank you for that advice.
You're welcome. So I'll open it up. Whoever wants to speak on behalf of what was just said, let's hear your thoughts.
I just want to add one thing to the to the atheist concept of atheism. That like I can see how you end up there. All right, it's usually atheists end up there by rejecting theism, dogma, religion, and I think it's right to reject those things. But and I can see like that you don't need a concept of God to have a spiritual path. Like, and as Shiva said, actually, spiritual path, a lot of it, especially you get to the higher levels, it's just completely emptying yourself of concepts and beliefs. But what I would suggest, just as like a concept of God, I guess, but it's not a concept. Like God is something that actually you can experience. That's kind of the idea of it. Like you don't have to believe in God because it's not something like you're off base if you're either believing or not believing in God, because it's something that's meant to be directly experienced. And that's sort of path. That's at least the way I feel.
Yes.
Yeah. When we speak of dropping all beliefs and concepts, and
Or
when,
holding them lighter, at least, because you still need
yeah,
to function in the world.
yes, that idea. Let's see. It was like, my thought is, well, what was it? It was this guy with the Ram Dass um, photo for his thing. Is what said something like, "I don't need a god to tell me what's right and wrong," right? And I think that's true. And I think when we're talking about dropping beliefs and concepts, it's because you don't need someone to really tell you, for the most part. It lives in you. You can feel it. You're built with the same design as the rest of the world. So if there is something that's kind of inherently wrong, you can feel that when it happens to you. And you don't need someone to tell you. You have the capacity to discern and to make judgments, actually. That's kind of what I think. And then I there was something else that came to my mind when he was talking about sharing the experience of Vipassana. There's a word, I think it's called bodhisattva, which is the idea of someone who delays. This is what the phone says, this is what Google says. A compassionate Buddhist being who has attained enlightenment but delays entering paradise to help others achieve enlightenment as well. So I guess, but I've thought of this as different ways because I didn't look it up in the past. I just thought of it as, well, this person is trying to include as many people as possible in their journey, kind of. And yeah, something else that comes to mind related to that is Tantra. I don't know these things very well, but what I understand is Tantra can kind of take anything that humans do. I was on the last podcast I was with, it was Leo, and he said something about the cigarettes and the coffee as opposed to the tarot cards. And I see that as a tantric practice, where if you're engaging in these things, it can be done in a way where it's like you're just making it more relevant to a certain group of people. Whatever you learn in your life, if you're living this lifestyle, it will be more relevant to people who are living a similar lifestyle. This is a thought I've had when people are being celibate or living a very monk lifestyle. They might reach a very high place, but it's in this very constrained container. If you can do it I think there's many paths, and if you do it in a different path that might involve some more taboo or a less monk way of living, it will help other people who are also living that way. That's kind of what I think, what I experience actually. Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good response, right? There's always this. I don't know. I mean, there was a documentary that I saw a while back where it was said that the Buddha, once he could reach nirvana, he looked around and there was nobody there. It was just him. So he decided, oh, I'm gonna have to go down and teach other people to to reach here, to reach this place. And basically he was the a Buddha who was also a bodhisattva of sorts. But for me, it's more or less, the more I learn Buddhism, the more I learn this from this experience, I'm more or less understanding that it, I don't take it literally, and I'm seeing that there is real loneliness in the universe. I'm trying to say that I don't believe that there is any afterlife or anything of the sort. I think that this practice works and it's real, and the Buddha said it out and gave these teachings because the more people learn, the more people understand why they need to learn, and the more they'll let go of this conception of what it is that human beings or they themselves need in order to be spiritual. And that's the kind of thing that I'm going through where I'm seeing every day that goes by. It's like, oh, I have to be my own light, which were like the last words of the Buddha. It's like there's not going to be any magical or divine interference in my life where something happens and everything is changed and whatnot. And I don't even need that. Every day that goes by, I'm seeing that everything is perfect in its own way, and then I can make everything a lot more better if I follow the teachings and follow the path. And there doesn't need to be an external explanation aside from the practice and the dharma itself. It's like if you know how to meditate and you know how to do it well and you go through your stages and you're finally liberated to a point where most of your life you're mindful and you follow the teachings you and you have right speech and your right thought and such, and those also contribute to your life. There doesn't need to be anything more. The moment you can do those things continuously without so much conscious effort and strain, that's it. But we can't like that. But most people need more. I would say that's why all these things exist, and that's just a poke at Shiva. But that's where for me it ends. But and I don't think there's anything more. Like I don't think that there's anything more ever. Like and there doesn't need to be because it's just perfect afterwards. That bliss, that contemplative bliss that you'll experience once you know just how to do it should be what does it in for you. That should be the last nail in the coffin, and it's over.
Yeah. Wow.
I actually agree. It doesn't have to be an afterlife or anything like that, because creation could be the creator, right?
I can hear you, by the way, MM. Can you say again?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. What did you say?
I just agree with you on that. Doesn't have to be. I don't see any afterlife either, and I don't need to.
Yeah, yeah. It's okay. Like all my life, I truly suffered. Like I felt real pain, like real, just dirty, disgusting, horrible pain for long periods of time, for years. And the moment I was able to do this, the moment I could sit down and concentrate and just really experience whatever this is, like which I can't apparently, as I said, I can't get this experience from other people where I tell them what it's like and they're like, are you sure? And then I'm like, I just feel like a fraud every time I try to explain what this is, like what Vipassana is, what Theravada Buddhism is, and what the experience of actually meditating is like.
Yes, and that's because you can't explain it, and every spiritual teacher so
But
far
that
has.
is the sad part for me.
Yes, you have to accept that.
Well, I would like to like give you a bit of reassurance about that, I guess, that no, like you're not the crazy one. Like it sounds to me like you've got it. You actually do got it, and the people you're talking to are the ones who are on a bit of a more basic level with their meditation. So just, since you're a little unsure about that. Um, but if you're gonna start talking about like afterlife, okay, so like it's a bit of a for many people in the world, especially like on a certain like lower level of awareness, it's used as a carrot and a stick. So that's like why it's built into so many religions, um because on like really like more limited levels of consciousness and awareness, humans kind of at a certain point, um they sort of do. There's a level of our evolution where we kind of do need an external morality and like some authority figure to put the rules down, because otherwise people will just, because they can't feel it within themselves, so they will just do bad things if they don't have a rule book and authority figure and a carrot and a stick and like, you're gonna go to hell or you can go to heaven and blah blah blah. So like it's just a step, it's a level of our evolution of consciousness in a collective sense. And then when you as an individual are like growing and flowering like a lot higher than everybody else around you, it's lonely, and then also all of you don't need those things anymore, and it all seems a bit silly and pointless to you. I totally get that.
Yeah,
But
that.
yeah, okay, you can respond.
No,
It's okay.
no, please go ahead. Go ahead. No, it's okay.
Well, I was just going to say one last bit, which is like a question, actually, which is, so if you don't believe in afterlife, though, so uh, do you just believe that our consciousness only exists within this body, and then when the brain activity stops, then all of a sudden consciousness just doesn't exist anymore? Is this your belief, your thought about it, or what's going on there?
Yeah, but for me, there's none of that. This is the thing. All my life, I've looked for something that I was unaware of. There's this analogy that I came up with because I'm a writer. I'm good with words, and there's this just random story I was telling my ex-girlfriend one day, and this is how the story goes. Basically, human beings are like rats in a sewer, not just random rats, but blind rats, looking for something that looking to eat something that they've never eaten before. They have a conception of what it tastes like, but they're just in that sewer, billions and billions of blind rats, and there's a lot of water that comes in. And one day, like some rats would get a taste of like a kind of water that's been washed down pipes and that got into the sewer, and they would taste it and they'd know, oh, this is what it's like. And that source of the water, like where it came from, was somebody that was living in their house that just had a really nice meal, and they've washed their hands from having the meal. Like if you're Indian or African, most people like have food with their hands, and it's like there's a lot of stew involved and whatever, but that's how I conceptualized it. But that person, for me, in my imagination, would be someone like the Buddha. And he was just washing his hands after a meal, and you've had that taste, and now you're like, oh my God, what is this thing? I want more. But you're blind and you don't really know what that is. That is like, for me, I was the blind rat for most of my life, but I somehow was able to grasp that concept of like I was able to climb up something, and was able to get that food and was able to eat it for like, I don't know, I'm still eating it even now. So that question that you asked me, when once you are there, once you are able to have the food every day, it's completely irrelevant. Everything is irrelevant. All the books I've read, all the experiences that I had, every single little thing, everything, truth, morality, this, that. Once you're truly at zero, in that place in which you're truly in, like, there's this real time connection of sorts, and you're in the meditation and you're just there, everything is perfect. You're not asking yourself any questions. You're not asking yourself what consciousness is or whatever. And I stopped being curious. Like nothing mattered anymore aside from that specific experience. And this was what really, I was dumbfounded by that, because I'm like, oh, like if somebody else says they're doing Vipassana and they're doing these meditations, and I've been doing it for a year and a half or so, and I finally got to a point where I can consistently be mindful, they must have this experience. They must know what this is like. Like all the questions that I've had, every little bit of pain that I've experienced, it's all worth it and all completely irrelevant now. And I wanted another person that was like that had that same experience, because it was some kind of weird wave in which I could validate my own experience. I know it's a very flawed way to do it, but again, I wanted that reassurance. I needed to know that it was like this and that this kind of thing existed. And I was denied the knowledge all my life, and everybody I knew around me was denied it all their lives, and they never had the experience. But ability that it is like this and another person can have this is everything to me, because if so, let's spread the fucking word. Let everybody learn what this is and experience what I'm experiencing, because there truly cannot be something better than this. And I say this with all my heart. Really, can it really be? Can life get better than what this experience is? Than what Vipassana offers? That is the kind of place that I'm in.
Yeah, it sounds like you're right on, but it's just like different people progress at different rates. So maybe somebody's been practicing this like longer, more years than you, but they haven't reached that level of attainment that you have. And you talk about spreading the word, like that's kind of like what all spiritual teachers are doing. That's what Sam Harris is doing when he's not a spiritual teacher, but a teacher in general. When he talks, trying to spread the word about Vipassana, like it's so many people out there trying to spread the word, but there's majority, mass amount of people are just not on that level. They're not ready for that. So you can't like force them onto that path. But yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like you really have attained something to there. So I mean, congratulations.
Thank you. And I learned it from a secular app. Like I torrented the app, what the app had. I didn't even need to torrent it. It was like free. Like the guy gives you a free scholarship. Like it's $2,000 if you wanted like a lifetime subscription. But I just like I didn't even know that. I torrented the course. It was so painful for me to actually learn it. I've never gone through that much pain in my life. Like learning to meditate. Like 10 minutes of focus. Like, oh my God, I just want to kill myself right now. But once it got through, I'm like, this was a secular guy that's an atheist that's been trying to destroy religion for so long. To be honest, there's a lot of things about him that I find really despicable, but especially as a person who's gone to India, that's learned so much stuff, that's learned Dzogchen and Buddhism and a lot of stuff. But it's, I learned it in a secular setting from this person. And if I was able to do this, and I was able to attain this, and I was able to be here, I'm pretty sure other people can as well. And I'm trying to teach one of my friends. He's almost there. I mean, he's trying at least. And that the truth that I want confirmed is that I want someone to experience. I want someone that's experienced what I've experienced, and I want that connection. I want that sense of right. This is what this is, and it's like, what do we do with this? We are in this game now. You feel what I felt. We can get there anytime we want to. It's like I want that, and if I can't have it, it would almost be as if I've been living in a dream, or so I've been, some mirage has washed over me of sorts, and I feel as though I've been liberated from all of my insanity and neuroses and paranoia. That's the kind of, it's a very human thing where you think you're seeing a like a new kind of color, and you want to bring another person from your house, and you're like, do you see the same thing? It's there, right? I don't know what to do with this. It's like that. And I don't even think it's some kind of spiritual thing. I think there was a lesson that was given to me from an atheist guy via app, and I just took it, and by some miracle of chance, I was able to continuously stay consistent with it to a point where I just got it right. That was truly all the magic in it. I don't think there's any. I don't think there's anything supernatural
Would
about it.
say it's not supernatural, it's natural, but spirituality is natural, and that's just the modern world that you can get it in that form through someone who doesn't even believe in whatever. But yeah, anyway, somebody else can speak.
Can I ask
Yeah, if
you,
anybody.
Yes, go ahead.
Lord, do you
Oh, sure.
sometimes feel like you're the only one who's experiencing this? When you look at your
Um.
old teachers, someone you used to listen to or anything, do you feel they
Um.
understand this?
This is the thing. I can experience this after I have my afternoon coffee with my family, and I go to my room and I turn on my phone and I'm like, I'm gonna do day 33, which is my favorite meditation from Sam Harris. I open it, I keep doing it 10 times, and it's been an hour. I try to get there, I try to be mindful. And the moment I'm there, the moment it kicks in, it's a very mechanical process, like Dzogchen, if you're aware of. I'm pretty sure probably Shiva's heard of Dzogchen. It's like a cutting through the bullshit, cutting through like how to do it, like what steps you take. For example, there's a step of first you hear the sounds around you, which is like something you have no control over, and you don't need to pay attention to them. The sounds will come, and the mind has no choice but to hear the sounds. If a child is next to you hearing the sound, you're going to hear it, whether you like it or not. And then you realize he tells you that you don't have to put in effort to be able to hear the sounds in your surroundings. All of that sense of effort that's coming in through your consciousness, that's also something that's just coming in through consciousness. It's not really you. And you also experience that in consciousness. There's a kind of Dzogchen approach to how he teaches you how to meditate. And what I'm trying to say is it's a very mechanical thing. Of course, I haven't truly met anybody else that's experienced it what I experienced, but the moment you're there can't be any. It's like doing Molly, and it's probably a wrong example to put it, but he also talks about it. It's like doing a drug. It's like you take that pill, but the moment it hits, if it's somebody that's never taken it, you won't ever know what that feeling is like. It's truly magic. It is bliss. There can't be anything better. There are no questions about God or consciousness or what do I do next or what this thing happened yesterday. This person saw me. There's none of that insanity. There's just mindfulness. There's just quiet and love and real like real beingness. And there, I don't feel like it's anything out of the ordinary at all. I'm just beguiled. I'm just very dumbfounded by the fact that there's not another person that just took the same random app course and had this experience. Another person told me that meditation is such an unnatural thing for most people that it's very difficult to relate. And I'm like, then everybody's fucking dumb. It's like you're missing out on the most important thing that you could ever do. And I mean this literally. That's the kind of feeling I feel. I feel as though nobody really believes that it can do this, that it can give you what this feeling that I'm trying to describe is. But if there is anybody here that's ever had experiences with Vipassana, and maybe they did experience some form of clarity that had this mind bending bliss for hours on end, maybe we can have that conversation. Or maybe you guys have heard of such an experience.
Let me ask you, do you sing or dance?
No. No, I actually downloaded a dancing app because I wanted to learn to dance because I thought I'd be a good dancer. But no, I don't dance. That was a unrelated question, I'm guessing.
Anybody else have anything to share?
I'll push back on this a little bit in the sense that maybe I probably haven't experienced exactly what you're experiencing. I don't think anyone will. You have your own experience. People can look at the same thing and recognize it, and that's a nice thing to have, is a shared, recognition of something. But as far as your own experience, that's yours. That's how I feel. And
But
what?
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When you say once you reach that state, that's it. Nothing else. I don't agree. Perhaps that's because I haven't reached that state. But to me, it sounds like you're connecting with the oneness. You're connecting with the ground that is all things. But as I said earlier, there's a reality to that. There is a reality to the oneness and and kind of that feeling of perfection. But at the end of the day, you have to come back here. And at the end of the day, we're inhabiting a unique perspective in the world with a unique position to do things. And I think when you reach that state, that is an opportunity to have a context. It's context for how you're going to move forward, but it's not the stopping point. You come back and you listen to both perspectives. There's the perspective of the whole, and there is the whole looking through you. And just when I'm listening to you, it seems like you're almost disregarding the, like we were talking about earlier, the desires of this perspective. And I guess you were saying you've reached the desire, you've attained it, which is cool, but yeah.
I
I
would
think
say,
you
okay,
do.
sorry.
Like now you act in this world as an expression of the whole. This is why teachers share the word.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
obviously more to do. It's not over. And from like the universe, I believe earlier you said being nothing is the goal, and I disagree because there is something there, but universe moves towards greater complexity. So in your life, as you can meet people and have conversations and increase the richness and the connections of the world, you're evolving the relationship of parts in the universe. Every whole is made up of parts, but every part is its own whole. And this is, it's holding that kind of paradox, the dance between autonomy and communion. What am I trying? I'm just saying that yeah, I'm pushing back on it because I think this body and this perspective that is like very here and maybe not blissfully one with everything is an important thing to recognize and give value to and listen to in the context of that oneness. If you can have both of those going, then you've really aligned your desires will be aligned with the fulfillment of everything, because your what was it, identity, as Krish said, is aligned there.
Yeah.
That was probably confusing, but thank you for listening.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Yes. In my opinion, I would say that what you are experiencing is you're one of the few who will discover meditation, actually. And that's what you have done, and that's not end all be all, because you say you come up in those states and experiencing this, and then you're coming down again and okay, I'm back to life. But the real deal is that you want to be there, right? You want to be in that state of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Please speak up. It's hard to hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit hard. Yeah.
So I have you. Do you know about Kundalini yoga?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't I've never actually experienced Kundalini, but to answer what Josh was talking about, like I tried. There's a little bit of vagueness as to what you were talking about, but like what I does anybody know who Daniel Ingram is? He's he's into Buddhism and he's a self-reported arahat. Maybe Shiva might know who he is.
No, I don't.
Daniel Ingram.
No.
Okay, so what I'm experiencing is so common in Buddhism. So common that there's a name to it. Like the people, there's even stages into it. Like when you're doing Vipassana, people are like, oh, you're on this stage and you're on this day. Okay, you're about to go here. And then you're going to feel this way, it's going to feel that way. And they like explicitly describe, oh, you're going to have earth shattering bliss that's uncontrollable. And when you said Kundalini, like when you know how like when you have Kundalini awakening, you get too sexual, like where there's this release of sorts, where there's this uncontrollable urges and such. That's kind of relates to arising and passing away as well. But what I'm trying to say is this was just a lesson to be taught, and I learned it. I'm saying that anybody can learn this, and I'm surprised by the fact that people have not had the same experiences that I have, because people wrote about this for thousands of years. Like the same experience that I had, that anybody can just potentially get from an app, from by working, like by meditating consistently for about 50 days or so. And I was just more or less surprised that this feeling that I'm having wasn't experienced by another person. And to answer your question directly, no, I have no, I barely have grasped the concept of Theravada Buddhism, and I only know secular Vipassana meditations that I've been doing for about a year and a half now. I've done a lot of practices for about 4 years, but the one that I know well and the one that I've experienced well is Vipassana meditation through a secular outlook from Sam Harris. Do you know who Sam Harris is, MM?
No, not really. No, don't know his work.
He's this atheist guy that went to India, learned a bunch of things, came back. He made this app recently, like maybe 6 years or so. I'm not completely sure, but that's where I got it from. That's where I got this from. I actually knew Sam Harris because of how I was trying to have this analytical, intellectual approach to life, where I wanted to solve my problems through the intellect. But then I discovered that this guy had an app for meditation, and he was a proponent of meditation. And then I took that meditative, like his courses and everything else, and then this happened, and now I'm very 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 different. I'm experiencing things very differently, and there's this loneliness of sorts that I feel now, where I'm like, I want people to be here. I want them to see what I see, and it's so sad that they don't. And I'm it it almost as if it kind of invalidates my experience, and it makes me feel as though that this is harder than it actually is, which it isn't. Shiva, you said that you lived with Theravada Buddhist monks for a while. Um, would you say that the experience of actually learning Vipassana, of experiencing Vipassana, is truly difficult?
Yes, Vipassana is a difficult meditation technique to learn and to master, no doubt. It is difficult. Yes.
I mean, I'm just some kid in East Africa. That is the weird part. I didn't put in that much effort, that much power, I don't even have that much focus to do it. I just did 10 minutes every day for 50 days, and then I repeated it about 4 or 5 times, and then I found these favorites from those specific meditations, and then I kept doing that, and there were moments in which where I felt so different for just like 2 seconds, 2 seconds, and then I wanted to recapture those moments, and it kept continuously doing it. And recently, there's something called the dark triad, or the dark night, or of sorts. People call it that. I think I passed through that, where every day I try to be mindful and I try to meditate, and there's that feeling again, where there are no questions, where there is no pain, where there is no suffering, and there's just love, and there's true awareness. And I, I maybe I have imposter syndrome, maybe I have something else, but I mean, I can't imagine that I actually did something difficult that was so unimaginably unattainable. I mean, if you had to grade it, like, what kind of person would you see, like, actually mastering Vipassana, like, just like very lightly, like not like completely mastering it, like, but what kind of person would you say would have the ability to master it in such a way that they experience actual bliss?
A person that has the desire to practice and to stick to it.
Yeah, yeah, it's just
I
I
wouldn't say that it's incredibly difficult, but like you're not wrong about that. But it's just like you. I mean, you mentioned earlier, like, are people just fucking stupid? And I mean, kind of, yeah, a lot of them, most of us, like, and also just distracted and like not, I don't know. I mean, you probably just have a good predisposition for it, man, that you found something and you committed to it, and like it worked, and once you started seeing results, like, it just furthered your commitment. And yes, this is like technically possible for anybody, but it's just like people don't commit like that. So most people don't. You know,
Yeah.
and what you were saying, the other thing I wanted to mention is like what you're saying, like all these things, reach a point where they just don't matter to you, like all of the philosophies and all of the like petty dramas and like all of that. It sounds to me like that's not like some crazy experience. That just sounds like non-attachment. Like you're just not attached to so much anymore, which is
But it
great.
comes with
But
an experience.
Yeah. If I'm actually allowed and if Shiva is down, I'd like to give Shiva the course. It's just a random 500 megabyte course. If we can post it on the server, maybe anybody can download it and take it up for themselves to actually maybe experience whatever this is that I'm experiencing. I truly think that there is nothing above what that is. There's mindfulness and there's Vipassana, and then there's nothing above that because you
I am
have
I've
you
never done this particular meditation, but I would try your course, or Sam's course, whatever. I don't really like Sam Harris that much. I don't like listening to his voice too much, but I'll try it.
yeah, he's got this NPR type voice. It's it kind of puts you to sleep of sorts. But yeah, if Shiva, if you're okay with it, I can send it to you via Telegram. Maybe you want to upload it on the server.
Is it the I wouldn't feel comfortable me uploading something that is torrented or taken from somebody that without paying. But if you want to upload whatever you want to upload to the server, I have no control over that, and you can do that easily.
Yeah, it's free. I did it. I torrented it before I knew that it was free. He actually gives it. Anybody could download the app. Yeah. So like there's nothing to steal, to be
Okay,
honest.
no problem.
Yeah, but have you experienced anybody that said that Vipassana was something like this, that where it's just this unimaginable thing that you never really had this conception before, where you just had to do it to know? Like, have you been there, like where you knew somebody that had this kind of experience?
No, I think you're the first one.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, now you're just. I'm digging my hole deeper, where I feel more crazy now because you said it, and thank you for that. Oh God,
But
it.
I
I
know
mean,
what
it
you're
can't.
talking about. That helps.
Huh?
It's
I know what
not that crazy though. I've heard people say things like this before. It's
I,
not
I met a
not
doctor,
outlandish.
Willoughby,
What?
that's now going. I met a doctor. I mean, I didn't meet her. A person recommended her to me. They said that she's now going around everywhere on YouTube. Maybe you guys heard of her. Her name is Willoughby. I think her last name is Willoughby. And she's saying that she's teaching everybody the dark sides of meditation, where she's gone to so many places and she's met people that did Vipassana, and now their mind is broken, or like there's something wrong with them now. And she actually came on Dr. K's podcast, I think 3 weeks ago or so, and she was trying to. Is it her or is it him that made a 3 hour lengthy talk, the dark sides of meditation, and all that thing? There are people that, like, everybody does that. Everybody tells me, hey, this is what it's like. That's the experience. But these people I don't know in person. These people I'm reading, like from Reddit and from places that I'm posting on, like the Buddhist page on Reddit. There's a Buddhist page on Reddit, and that's when people told me 11 months ago, hey, you're on a rising and passing away. This will pass away, and you're gonna have a very bad experience after this, where everything's not gonna make sense. You're gonna be in so much pain, and they were right. I experienced unimaginable amount of pain, but more meditation and more experiences, I was able to surpass it. But I think when somebody else, I think it was a mem that said that, or Lionheart, I think somebody said people are stupid and they don't really commit to anything. But this is not hard. This is like 10 minutes a day, bro. 10 minutes a day, like 10 minutes a day. Just sit down for 10 minutes and just do that meditation and just follow through. And getting that experience will truly be the best experience that you will ever have, including everything, just being a billionaire or traveling the world, whatever. So nothing else matters. That
I'll
being in
do
the
it.
present.
I'll
Yeah,
do it and give you feedback just for your own personal
yeah.
gratification. Maybe I'll have the same experience and maybe I won't, but I'll try.
And the fact that Shiva's never met someone else doesn't actually give me a lot of hope or promise. I now feel like I'm actually crazy. maybe I'm one of those that's experiencing the dark side of whatever it was that I was doing. But yeah, I mean, this is amazing. This is Vipassana is truly great. Maybe you guys have experience in other kinds of meditations that I'm not really aware of. Is there anyone else that's done that consistently does like that has a meditation practice maybe?
Yeah, I do Shambhavi Mahamudra taught by Sadhguru, and
Oh,
that is fantastic for experiencing bliss and going beyond.
I do
what's it like?
meditate every day,
Nice.
and I'm trying to get hold of it. So I've learned that when I found meditation, I thought it was something inside my head, and first when I got a connection to my body, my mind and body connection, um, I started to be able to meditate outside myself. So I could go into meditation, reach some high states, and come out of the meditation and still being there and doing stuff.
Is it
But
is it the same one that Shiva does? Is it the same kind one? Can somebody explain it to me? What's that meditation like?
my meditation is nothing. That's just nothing. I just go outside and sit under a tree or something. So I actually had to stop myself from continuing because if I sit for an hour, uh, it's it's getting harder for me to to stop it. Actually, it's at 2, it's even harder. So it's like I had to sit and say, okay, life is there's other things in life than sitting here, and you have to take care of this and that. And when I'm finished with that, I search for meditation again. That's my life.
Yes,
And I do it stronger every day.
Shambhavi is a meditation taught by Sadhguru. You can learn it at innerengineering.com, I believe is the website. And it's a 21-minute practice where you do exercises and different breathing techniques and using your voice in a certain way. And essentially, it brings the dormant, latent energy in the base of your spine up to the forehead. And it cascades
Wow.
there. So usually people report crying, tears of bliss and ecstasy, and experiencing lots of joy. So it's a fantastic meditation.
How long did it take you to get to a point where you actually experienced something?
First or second day, I was initiated by Sadhguru, thankfully, and I did it twice a day for approximately 1 year. But every day I did it 2 times a day because it brought me so many benefits. So it's something you can experience right away.
Oh, okay, okay. By the way, in one video you said that you don't identify as a Hindu, you just do what works. What did you mean by that?
If some Muslim came to me and gave me a technology for how to work with my mind or how to live better, I would definitely do it. So I'm not a Hindu, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, or anything. I just do what works.
So like you're saying that you're just looking for any kind of method or way, whatever works that's, that's effective, right?
That's correct, yes.
Huh. So like currently you'd recommend that I do I'm sorry, can you say the name again? Like, just want to write it down.
Yeah, you go to Sadhguru's website, Inner Engineering,
Okay.
and yes, you learn.
Entering. Yeah, I'll definitely
Yes.
give that a look.
With that being said, anybody else have any thoughts, suggestions where this conversation should go towards?
I'll mention a practice. It's a mudra. It is labeled as the king of all mudras. And it complements but I know the general idea. And you said it brings energy from the base of the spine up to the forehead. Kachari Mudra is a mudra of the tongue. There's many stages of it, but the most simple stage is just placing the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. You can feel a hard palate, a soft palate. Over time, takes years, but you can actually get your tongue into the nasal cavity of your body. And yeah, it's a sensual experience. There's lots of sensation, but it really brings that connection, that energy, and a sense of unity within yourself. So yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd mention it because the only reason I'm grateful that I know Kachari Mudra. I think it's a great thing that I have in my life, and the only reason I know it is because other people shared it online. So yeah.
Yes, great point. And when you connect your tongue to the roof of your mouth, it closes the circuit in a sense. So energy is able to flow in a circular motion without stopping. Very valuable. Anybody else have anything to share? On that note, I think we shall close this for today. Talked about lots of meditation. Hope some of you can take this back home and learn to meditate, learn to practice Vipassana or Shambhavi Maha Mudra. And let me know what you think in the comments down below. It's an open platform. I will be likely doing this every single weekend. Saturday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Sunday 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same time that we're doing this now. So whoever you are, whatever you want to talk about, if you want to jump on and participate, this will be recorded and posted on YouTube. You can feel free to do so. Every Saturday and Sunday, feel free to join. And I'll see you next week, where we discuss more spiritual ideas. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah,
Thank you.
this was wonderful. Thank